It's been a week or two since the Amargasaurus was rebalanced in one of the best ways possible, in my opinion. And it's pretty much forced me to change up quite a bit of how I play it, as well as the abilities I've equipped. This first fight here is literally my first fight right after the rebalancing occurred. One of the biggest things that they adjusted was with Tail Barrage. It now deals less damage on its first hit. However, they did increase the damage increase, or the damage buff, per hit. In other words, landing all 3 hits would result in pretty much the same damage pre-balancing. The good thing is it no longer acts as some kind of spammy second tail attack, since the first hit doesn't do as much as before. You have to land all 3. I still have no idea why this Titan decided to do this anyway. Oh, I know. It must have been because of the fact that disorienting bellows was nerfed. Oh well, it still died. The nerf is quite noticeable though, from 30% fall damage increase to 20%. Means that Apexes can now survive that second hop. Kudos to how they changed the EO as well, it hurts so much. And thus ends the era of cliff camping. A new strategy I've come up with is pretty much using tight corners more than ever. And Hoodoo makes the best opportunities to do such a strategy. A combination of narrow terrain as well as steep and sometimes sudden drops allows you to leverage a Marg's core competency, which is zone control. As you can see here, these Titans got baited into taking the most painful fall they could ever receive. If you've also noticed, in this fight and in the next few fights, I changed out of Lash and decided to pick the regular tail back up, seeing as fights will have to be drawn out a bit quicker than usual. Since Bulldozer also got nerfed, you can only receive your stamina increase every 60 seconds now instead of 30 seconds. This pretty much means I'll have to deal more damage than ever in a shorter amount of time, and since not only does tail attack have a shorter cooldown, it also has more damage than Lash. It is just pretty much the more optimal choice. you might be wondering, where's the foul? Yeah, well, it just wouldn't let me cook. Obviously, it had to show up last minute. Now, it was only during the production of this video that I actually realized quite the coincidence. This clip was taken a day after the previous one, but it seems like it is actually the same Titan duo. Probably not, but for some reason they had the same skins. There's one thing we can all agree on. It's the fact that Anos have been one of the biggest pests in the recent updates. That being said, I absolutely love what they did to Anno. Fights with it are now less boring in the sense that you have to be very, very technical with how you enter or exit its range. And the fact that they're not pretty killable since they don't have that 1.5 multiplier in their defense. This Anno though seems to be quite new, because not only do they not have an idea of their own range, if you noticed in its previous smash, it doesn't quite understand that the radius of its smash starts around its tail club and not its own body. But GG's to it regardless. Miragaya got me worried for a second there, but thanks to it, I guess, for being very honorable with the 1v1. I still do have that qualm with Anno's AoE though. That damage from a tail attack, from an attack to the tail, should not deal that much damage. Another qualm I have is with juvenile and adolescent dinos that seem to just join in fights despite, I don't know, not being part of it and not even built for it. They should really just get to questing. I definitely did not aggro this Iggy and Duck duo, but regardless, it was a fun encounter. This here is another example of how good Hoodoo's sudden drops are when paired with disorienting bellows. In just that one exchange and that very bad fall, the Iguanodon is now out of commission. From the looks of it, the duck also seemed to have taken some fall damage, seeing as it immediately just started to flee. The sad thing is, you just cannot outstam an Amarg. You just can't. I did not get to record this fight, but technically it was just me running away. Under normal circumstances, or if I had at least one team member who could openly communicate, I would have taken this fight. But when up against two Rexes and a Titan, the key variable that you just cannot overlook is the other Rex popping surprise attack. You just can't afford to mess up, because one bone break is all it takes to kill you. No matter how good you are at a mark, or no matter how good you are at finding the best spots, the moment you're bone broken, it's pretty much game over, unless the Rex is absolutely just brainless. So in this clip, I didn't even bother fighting them. I just kept running in a direction that is not in a direction of where the other Rex was. And once again, Hoodoo Expanse just gives the best opportunities for this tactic. There are just those fights where survival in itself can be a big victory. As soon as I figured that they had given up, I immediately logged off my Amargasaurus. From this fight onwards, you'll notice that I had switched something up. After considering the fact that I've been pretty much mostly been running around Hoodoo expanse, one very good deterrent against smaller opponents in tight corners is the repeated barrage from the stomp. And of course, against larger things, you can pretty much maximize the damage output so long as you keep them in the AoE range. The only problem early out in this fight though is the fact that I just absolutely was not used to how short the range was, and I ate a couple of very bad face shots. Like so. Regardless, Stomp ended up growing on me, and I still use it to this day. As many of the pro players say, it's always important to make space. My mistake here was getting too boxed in between two heavy hitting dinosaurs. I pretty much had to stop attacking for a while and heal off the bleed before rejoining the fight. I have no idea why that other stego just decided to ditch its friend. They could have still had a fighting chance. Not gonna lie, if they just repeated that boxing in strategy they did earlier. It might have not even been a strategy, but they could have tried to recreate that moment. GG's regardless. This opening exchange was just me being cheeky with the stomp barrage. Never trade a barrage head on with an apex. It outdamages you, and it can always just cancel your stomps with knockback. I am not going to complain, but there seems to be quite the trend of Titans still being quite unfamiliar with the effect of disorienting bellows. In this clip, I had somehow managed to aggravate two different groups. Now it's not a mega pack. I just ended up fighting a trio of Anos before this trio of Tyrannosaurus even arrived. And they all just ended up chasing after me. It was a very funny chase though. This game is sometimes quite ridiculous, however. Granted, I am playing on a server that is an ocean across where I'm from. I do wonder how much differently things would have been if the Rex actually pursued me. But but it seems like the Anos were the only ones who were annoyed enough to chase me all the way towards her. Another day and another very bad usage of stomp. The odd thing there though was the fact that my tail barrage had cancelled itself. I am still not completely sure what circumstances lead to that happening, but sometimes I feel like if another dinosaur's hitbox is over the hitbox of the attacking body part, it has a chance of canceling your ability. I've never really explored on it. And with that fall goes the stego. I rarely ever go to Grand Plains, but one thing I've seen quite often is the battle between land and water. And in this instance of us fighting this group of dinos that pretty much waded in water quite a lot, save that Rex obviously, uh, the Tylo left itself out in the open. I had to take a second glance to make sure. I have no idea how it got there, but obviously everyone just immediately jumped the gun on it. The problem, however, with uncoordinated Amargasaurus groups is that you tend to deal more damage to each other than to the enemy. It was just quite funny that Tylo forgot it was way too far inland. Not to mention that Rex trying to clamp a dasp.